In this video, we are going to talk about 5 reasons why I know I've healed the fearful avoidant attachment style. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because when you're just beginning on your healing journey or you're in the middle of it, healing, all of this can feel like a mountain you have to climb. And then the destination, the being healed, can kind of feel elusive and very far away. And that can actually slow down your healing process. And that's not what I want for you. I want to help you in any way possible to um, heal on your own terms, in your own time, on your own process, but kind of take away those things that might slow you down. That are not necessary. So when I look back, I realized that when I was starting the healing journey and when I was in the middle of it, I had this image of being healed, which was just not true. And therefore, it's so important to know kind of what to expect, because you may be way too hard on yourself and thinking that you're so far away from being healed when that's actually not really the case. And I think when you're more and more when you more and more have an image of what it might look like to be healed, and that is a realistic image, then you know that you're actually pretty far along or you're taking great steps towards it. So when I was healing, I had this image that when I was healed, I would not have any negative feelings anymore, any negative emotions anymore, any problems anymore. And I don't think I was very conscious of this, because if I would have heard somebody say it like this, I would have thought, oh, well, no, that's not what I think. Of course, you're going to have problems. Of course, you're going to have negative feelings. But there was a part of me that actually really believed and really wanted being healed to be like this fantasy place, this beautiful place where only happy things happen. And it's so logical. It's so logical that you would want that, because you're just so done with the struggle and you're tired and exhausted. And why are you healing if in the end being healed doesn't protect you from hurt and struggle? So I want to immediately say being healed is just, it's so much better. It's so much better than being in the midst of the crash state of the fearful avoidant attachment style, as I call it. But it is not perfection. And I think perfectionism is such a big pitfall of the fearful avoidant, that a lot of fearful avoidants have this perfect image of what it means to be healed. And so I will talk about this not only in this video, but in multiple videos, so that more and more you get this realistic understanding of what being healed actually means. So the first reason why I know I've healed the fearful avoidant attachment style is that I am now in a healthy, stable relationship, and have been for such a long time, without any doubts about the relationship or creating drama. And usually it's either one or both. And I've done that for years in my relationship. For about 6 or 7 years, I had intense doubts about whether this was the one, whether I was in love enough, whether I was fooling myself, all the doubts that come with the fearful avoidant attachment style and relationship OCD. Um, and after that, I didn't really have the doubts anymore, but I did have the pattern of creating drama. And when that wasn't in my relationship, it would be in different areas of my life. I have other videos that talk about this. And when I realized that the stability of the relationship and the healthy aspects of the relationship were actually, I could finally allow those and just enjoy them really, truly. That's when I knew, oh wait, this is an important sign that I've healed the fearful avoidant attachment style, because mm, the fearful avoidant attachment style at the core is push and pull and highs and lows. So that's almost the opposite of stability. You probably did not have a lot of stability when you were a child in your childhood, in whatever way that was. And so allowing that stability, but not just allowing it, but actually enjoying it, that is a very sure sign that you've actually reached a point of healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. So that is the first one. Then the second one is I am now totally okay being vulnerable. That was such a hard one, as I know it is for so many fearful avoidants, to actually be vulnerable. And that means sharing your needs, sharing what hurt you without blaming, which I'm still not perfect at, but it's like so much better than it was. And looking back, I used to have such intense fears around being vulnerable. Like when I would be vulnerable, it was almost like they would use that against me, and that would become a weapon to kind of beat me with later on. And so it was just way too scary. It felt weak to be vulnerable, and I just didn't do it. And now I can just be vulnerable, express my needs, express why I'm hurting, without any of the coping mechanisms. And the coping mechanisms are, when I had such trouble with being vulnerable, as a lot of fearful avoidants do, um, I I would lash out at my partner. First of all, I would blame him for the things that he did to make me feel this way. Um, I would start doubting the relationship, so kind of trying to escape the situation instead of just saying, okay, wait, what is going on? What am I actually not expressing or not allowing myself to feel? And so now all of that just seems such a distant memory, because being vulnerable just doesn't feel like a thing anymore. It's just something I do that comes almost naturally. And I can do it with my partner, but also with other people, and I am not scared of their reaction anymore, because I know it's just a very healthy and normal thing to do that actually leads to connection. So if anybody doesn't accept vulnerability or has problems with that, that's not on me. That's their own process, that's their own pain, that's their own trauma. So that just helps tremendously, and it has helped my relationship with my partner, but also with others so much, to just be completely okay being vulnerable. It took a while, but I'm here. um, and then the third one is I don't get triggered anymore easily, and I can handle those triggers so much better. So it's not that I'm completely trigger free, and I thought that would be like being healed would be completely trigger free, but that's not true. I mean, there really is a difference between perfection and secure attachment. And for me, healing the fearful avoidant attachment style means that you've switched over into dominantly securely attached. So you react and act in a securely attached way 80 or 90% of the time. And so I do get triggered, but a lot of people who are securely attached get triggered too. It's just the way that you handle those triggers is so different from when you are insecurely attached. So if I would get triggered in the past, that would mean emotional flashbacks. That could mean a panic attack. That could mean lashing out, becoming angry, pushing my partner away. And now when I'm triggered, I do still feel the negative emotions. I'm sorry to burst your bubble if you thought that there were only positive emotions. That's not the case. It's not realistic, and it's not necessary, because if I do get triggered now and I feel the negative emotions, it has not nearly the impact that it had when I was in the midst of the crash state. So it feels much easier and much lighter, and I don't seek blame outside of myself. I just kind of sit with myself and see what happened. And even that I cannot do every single time. I'm a mom. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and just being a mother and having a child in that age is, or in any age, that just triggers new things. But the way I handle that is not by lashing out externally, it's by introspection and allowing space for whatever comes up and just being there with that. And like I said, that I don't do that perfectly either. Sometimes I do definitely suppress that, push it aside, and work on it later on. But I don't have that um, instinct or reflex to get angry as I used to, or to escape as I used to. So, yeah, triggers are still there, here and there, but it's about, I would say, between 2 to 5% of what it used to be. um, and so my days now usually are just very calm and even and stable, um, and when I do get triggered, it's just emotions that come up, but that don't overwhelm me at all, or um, ruin my day or anything. I think when I before I started healing, I could get triggered and then that would last for 2 weeks, and I couldn't talk. I couldn't really process what was happening. And as I was healing more and more, that became shorter and shorter. So 2 weeks became 1 week, 1 week became a few days became one day became a few hours. And now when I get triggered, sometimes it's literally seconds, and I just allow it to be there. I acknowledge it, and that's all that's needed. And then I go about my day. And that's such a vastly different reality than it used to be. So, yes, there are still negative emotions. Yes, there are still triggers, but it's just it's a different world, really. It's so different than what it used to be. Then the fourth one is I'm not afraid of people anymore in general. So I now recognize healthy and unhealthy behaviors, and that really has helped me so much, just learning about the attachment styles so in depth, and knowing what was healthy and what wasn't healthy. That that gave me the possibility to see that it's not about me. If somebody reacts in an unhealthy way, it's not because of me. I didn't cause that. It wasn't my fault, as I used to always believe. So I would compromise and I would prove my worth and work really hard. And um, if somebody would get mad at me, I would spiral into shame and guilt because I just completely assumed that they were right. They were right to be angry with me. And now I just see healthy and unhealthy behavior. And I it's not even a question of judging it. It's just that's healthy, that's unhealthy. And everybody has healthy behavior and unhealthy behavior. But I know where to set my boundaries, and I know how to handle that unhealthy behavior if it happens without taking it on as my responsibility. So, and also I seek out healthy behavior way more, where I used to have a tendency to seek out unhealthy behavior in other people. So people that tended um to behave in a more unhealthy way, that felt familiar, that felt like home in a way. So I would hang around those people most often, and I would ruminate on the things they said, or what I thought they thought of me. And now I don't tend to do that anymore, really. Um, and I seek out healthy behavior, and that's not even really something I force myself to do. It's just a natural thing because that now feels um, safe, and it feels good to be around people that um, portray a lot of healthy behavior. And the fifth one is I allow myself to be human. And that was a big one. Um, and I do have to say, if we come back to the perfectionism thing, which again is such a big thing in the fearful avoidant, I think in every insecure attachment style, really, but definitely also the fearful avoidant. Um, the thing I'm not healed in completely yet is that perfectionism is still a big pitfall for me. And I have that in what I do because I love what I do and I just want to serve to the absolute best of my abilities. But the best sometimes just means perfect, and that's not realistic. So I do sometimes struggle with that still. And I of course still have negative emotions and negative feelings, and I get stressed. Definitely. We've just had a couple of pretty rough months. We moved, maybe you see the different setup, and I'm really happy that we did, and with the place that we live in now. But it was quite a whole ordeal that I will not get into. But yeah, I definitely got out of balance there, um, and was very stressed and very anxious. Um, but again, this is just to say that it I don't think you will ever reach a perfect point where you don't get stressed or anxious, because I don't think that's human, and I have allowed myself to be human. So even through those last few months that were really rough, or that were kind of rough, um I I allow myself to be human. I allow myself to be stressed and to be anxious, and not try to um only have positive emotions and only make everything perfect. I wanted to here and there, but it was so different from, I think, 10 years ago. I would have, all of this would have been way too overwhelming. I would have um, blamed everyone around me for the way I was feeling. And now it wasn't like that at all. I just acknowledged that this was hard, what I was going through, and that I was allowed to feel anything that I was feeling. And just that, just allowing yourself to do that, can really be healing in and of itself. Um so yeah, I wanted to make this video because I don't ever want you to think that being healed is like this perfect place. I don't ever want you to think that I'm perfect and that I don't struggle at all anymore. I'm in such a vastly different place now than I am 10 years ago. Um, and that is all because of being healed. But that just explains parts of my life, like being in a healthy, stable relationship, being able to do what I do, being generally just happy. And but there are still things that I can work on, that I want to work on, like that perfectionism, and I could love myself more. There are still things that I could heal even more, but the need for it doesn't feel as urgent as it did when I truly wasn't healed yet, and that impacted just everything in my life, and I couldn't function. I can very well function now, even through very stressful periods. So perfection is not a goal. It is not the goal. It is not realistic. Um, but I do want you to know that even though it's not perfect and I'm not perfect, it is going to be so much easier, and you are going to be so much happier, and um, more relaxed, and just more centered and stronger, more powerful, feeling like you can handle so much more without it overwhelming you. So it is so much better, but it's not perfect, and it really does not have to be. It does not have to be. All right, I hope this video was valuable to you in any way. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.